movies that are coming out this year. Everybody's of course talking about Ant-Man because the movie's already around the corner, and of course Guardians of the Galaxy feels like to be the biggest Marvel movie of the year. But there's one other Marvel movie they're releasing this year, and that's so. And oh wait, not so. Movie is called The Marvels. So Captain Marvel made $1.1 billion, even though it was a completely god awful film. But for some reason, we're getting The Marvels. And basically, this movie is basically Brie Larson being sidelined by two other versions of her character. Because in 2014, they brought back Miss Marvel, but they changed it to Captain Marvel. And then they brought back Monica Rambeau, which was around in the 80s. And then Miss Marvel, who was introduced in 2013. And really, actually, 2014, as basically a new character that existed. But are we sleeping on this movie? Yes, as much as I don't like Brie Larson's existence and presence being in the movie because he's such a bad actress in this and the Captain Marvel and the Avengers just film as well. She does a like, come on. You made a Marvel movie boring, okay? You know, but again, it isn't the only time a Marvel movie was boring. You also have For The Dark World. Yeah, maybe both of you to make one big film and have both Malekith as the villain and Captain Marvel as the hero to possibly make the most boring Marvel movie ever made. The most boring Marvel hero and the most boring Marvel villain. Yeah, I really had to make fun of Malekith there because he's such a boring and useless Marvel villain. And he literally serves zero purpose other than to exist. Okay, yeah, for the Dark World ain't getting off easy here. But we'll get the movies coming out next year. No, not next year. Next year is when Kung Fu Panda 4 is coming out. This year. I'm sorry for the gaff. Yep. So, as we all know, summer of this year is a very packed month. But let's not forget that Marvels is released at the very end of July. Again, this is going to be a very packed... But again, August is actually surprisingly packed for movies. The Meg 2, Turtles, which should be pretty successful. It's also an animated movie as well. Gran Turismo, which is probably not going to do too well. The Haunted Mansion and Blue Beetle. Those are all the big movies. And really, they'll even release a movie on the fabled Labor Day weekend. Because Shang-Chi showed us that Labor Day weekend isn't the worst weekend to release movies. Yep, we found out that isn't the worst weekend to release movies. Because typically, really the bad movies released on that weekend, Labor Day weekend. And typically it was either holdovers and stuff as well. Of course, Shang-Chi showed us that basically, hey. But again, we all know the Phantom Menace is already drumming up basically the Marvels is going to be a bad movie. Even though the movie isn't even out yet. The movie is we still have to wait until July 28th. The fabled day the Marvels comes out in theaters as well. And again, Captain Marvel is one of the most hated Marvel characters. Which is why people are not really too excited for it. I don't really want to see it. But in terms of its box office returns, that's what we're going to talk about today as well. Again, this year was full of movies. Full of movies. Sequels. Full of sequels and movies. There's so many movies coming out this year as well. It makes next year look like a brand year in comparison. And Marvel still has 3 movies coming out this year. One of them being the Marvels as well. Well, but everybody is literally saying the Marvels is going to flop before we even get official pre-sales or tracking for the movie. Like, we all know the Little Mermaid is going to flop. I know a lot of these so-called box office experts are going to make even one of them even said it was going to make $1 billion. But the controversy behind the entire casting of the movie and the movie being disliked to oblivion, yeah, I think people are going to say it's not going to watch Little Mermaid. Just because it's basically a front-loaded movie doesn't mean it'll do too well. Right, you anyone? But The Marvels is still a Marvel movie. Thor and Thunder, as much as people hated that movie, still made $750 million worldwide. Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, despite it being the most mid-Marvel movie ever created, well, it still made $150 million. And Black Panther and Wakanda mid, really, last year's slate of Marvel movies were just the most mid pieces of shit ever made. But again, this year, we already have a couple of good movies come out. Really, one that's Megan. Uh, Nothing else. You have Knock on the Cabin, which is basically a divisive movie because it's which is not too surprising for M Night Shyamalan's movies as well. But the next big movie, the first really big movie, sorry Magic Mike's Last Dance, is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. This movie is likely going to open to $100 million, and Ant-Man has basically become one of the most popular Marvel characters. Not as big as, of course, Iron Man and Captain America and other characters, but Ant-Man has really cemented himself as a real character as well. Well, and yeah. Oh yeah, we're talking about the Marvels, not Ant-Man. But everybody's talking about Ant-Man, and of course people are going to be talking about Guardians of the Galaxy. But the Marvels is just the movie that nobody talks about. The only people who are talking about it is who, the Phantom Menace. And the Phantom Menace, sometimes they're completely weird, like Rings of Power, Velma. Okay, nobody likes Velma and Rings of the Power. Both of those shows are complete ass, okay? But again, they'll hate the show before it even comes out. And yes, the Marvels had a lot of production problems and issues. It was supposed to come out last year, and they swapped it with Ant-Man and the Wasp. Ant-Man and the Wasp will probably be a better movie anyways, as well. And if the Marvels is just a mediocre movie, then it's just a mediocre movie. It'll follow the wakes of Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, Ant-Man and the Wasp, not Ant-Man and the Wasp, that's wrong movie. Thor Thunder and Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Yeah, those types of movies as well. Well, but again, now talk about the box office potential. So everybody say the movie's gonna lose money. The reason why we have this precedent, it was because there's 2 pandemic Marvel movies. Actually, 3 of them. Shang-Chi, which lost $2 million for Disney, in the theaters. Eternals lost $100 million. And Black Widow, including Disney Plus premium sales, lost like $8 million for Disney. So all 3 of those movies bombed. Yes, they lost money. Of course, they might get made up for it in other forms of advertising and merchandise and stuff. So the movies, both of those movies still made money. But the thing is, we still have the Eternals. It's just because the Eternals was such a bad movie. The pandemic was kind of over by the time the Eternals came around. And Spider-Man released at the height of the Omicron variant. And COVID isn't really a problem anymore. So the Marvels, much like the last 3 Marvel movies, I think the Marvels are going to do far for the numbers. Considering that a lot of people hate Brie Larson, I do not think the movie's going to make $1 billion as well. I think it'll do the same amount of numbers as Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Which I think Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania will do around $700-800 million. And I think, unlike the Marvels, I think people will actually like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania and Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Which is an change of pace because Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, Thor of Thunder, and Black Panther Wakanda Forever were such big disappointments. And actually, there are people who do like Wakanda Forever. But again, it was kind of like The Last Jedi. It was kind of like it was so divisive because people they just did why, they couldn't recast Black Panther, and stuff like that. That movie was such a big mess as well. But then he also realized that the Marvels is competing with Oppenheimer, Barbie, and one of the biggest hits of the year, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. Yeah, likely going to be one of the highest grossing movies of the entire year, simply because Tom Cruise is in it. So yeah, I think the Marvels will actually not flop, simply because it's a Marvel movie. But again, it might do the Eternals numbers. We will have to wait until that fabled weekend of July 28th. But yeah, the Marvels may not flop. But again, just because I say it may not flop doesn't mean it will. Everybody was saying White Heroes could make $1 billion, but it did not, it flopped. So yeah, we'll wait to see what people will think of the Marvels when it comes out. So yeah, that's basically what this video here. But I know for sure one movie is flopping, Kraven the Hunter. Yeah, nobody wants to see that.